licenses nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-4716. That's 1-800-353-4716. Again, 1-800-353-4716.
From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys.
Whenever I'm feeling a little down under, I can always count on Nate and Brian for their interesting perspective on topics important to freedom and civil rights by listening to the At Odds Show. Nate and Brian cover important topics with insight, intelligence, and of course humor. I can always expect a laugh or two. So if you want to be informed and have a great time, give these guys a listen.
And I'm Nate. That's Brian over there.
Howdy ho. Welcome back. So what?
Trivia question.
Oh, yeah. Who was the only president who studied to become a doctor? Hint, he was the last president born as a British subject. He was also the first president to die in office.
Yeah. So do we
have any guesses?
We did have some guesses. I think, let me see here. The best guess, I think, that we got was Jefferson.
Okay, no, that's not correct.
Okay.
Good guess, though.
Nixon.
Yeah, it wasn't a British subject.
Yeah, those were the guesses.
Okay. Well, the answer is William Henry Harrison. All right.
Who?
He was the 9th president of the United States, 1841. He was an American military officer and politician. He was 68 years old when he was inaugurated, the oldest president to take office until Ronald Reagan in 1981. Harrison died on his 32nd day in office from pneumonia. He had the longest inaugural address of any president. It was over 2 hours. It was a wet, cold, windy day. He rode his horse there.
Turns out it was a bad idea.
Bad idea. He didn't wear a jacket or a hat or anything, and he just talked and talked and talked. All right. So he got pneumonia, and he died. What's interesting is that in that year, that was one of 2 times where 3 different men served as president within a calendar year.
Huh.
All right, so getting back to his medical stuff. He was at the University of Pennsylvania. His father forced him there. He didn't like medicine. He didn't like studying it. And then apparently his father ran out of money, and he never finished college.
Really?
Went into the service, right?
It sounds like he could have benefited from Bernie Sanders a little bit.
Maybe. The 3 people were Martin Van Buren, Harrison, and Tyler. All were president within 1 year. The only time that happened again was Rutherford B. Hayes was succeeded by Garfield, who was assassinated, and they had the death of Chester A. Arthur. So those 3 presidents served. The problem was, at that time, when Harrison died, there was a little problem on who succeeded and for how long. The Constitution said that the vice president would serve as acting president until there was a new election, but it didn't say when that election occurred. So they went to the Supreme Court justice, and he said, "Well, if he takes the oath of office, he'll be president." So they gave him the oath of office, and he became president.
Yeah.
This happened again when Kennedy was assassinated and Johnson was sworn in. That set a precedent for that. But it wasn't until 1967 that they actually added the 25th Amendment, which actually clarified the succession of president if the president should die. So interesting.
Yeah,
little-known president, 30 days or so, died, but set in motion some interesting things. Lots of cool trivia, I think. We also have this day in history. Wanna do
Woohoo! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. In this day in 1947, Mein Führer Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company,
Where?
which developed the first affordable mass-produced car, the Model T, also pioneered the assembly line, died at the age of 83. Ford was born in 1863 during the American Civil War on a farm located in present-day Dearborn, Michigan. He studied engineering, worked as an engineer. Ford experimented with internal combustion engines, and in 1896 built his first propelled gasoline engine vehicle known as the Quadricycle. Quadricycle, not a bicycle.
Yeah.
Quadricycle.
Yeah.
A cycle with 4 wheels.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Really, it is.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So,
Let's.
interesting guy. Michigan guy.
Speaking of Michigan, April 13th at the Lansing State Capitol, Second Amendment March.
Be there or be square.
That's right.
I looked at the extended forecast, which are never right. It said sunny and 50 degrees. So you can't beat that for Michigan in April.
Not this year, especially.
I hope that's the case. Again, as we said, it's snowing and 35 degrees right now.
But that shouldn't stop you. I mean, really, shouldn't stop you because
we did a march a few years ago and it was snowing and we had one of our biggest crowds.
Yeah. These things are important.
Suck
right?
it up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, get there, show the numbers.
Dress for the weather.
The legislators will be there.
Yep.
Well, the ones that
were.
Well,
all the ones. So 2. There'll be 2 there.
Yeah. Go in, talk to them. Get a tour of the Capitol if you want.
The Capitol's beautiful.
I
would
prefer
recommend
the self-guided tour.
I just was going to say the opposite. I like the guided tour because there's lots of history that they point out.
Yeah.
But either way, beautiful building. You can carry firearms in the state capitol in Michigan.
You can.
Not against the law.
You can. Once in a while, every couple years or so, the state police at the Capitol will respectfully request that you don't carry long guns in there.
Yeah, they didn't work out well for them.
The opposite happened. Actually,
yeah, everybody stormed in there with long guns
when that was announced. Yeah. So,
because
don't be dumb.
That was
actually
it was the lieutenant. He came up to me. He goes, "Would you announce them not?" I said, "Are you sure you want me?
You
to
don't
do
want
that?
me to do that.
Are you sure you want me to say that? Because you know what's going to happen."
And maybe he did know, and he thought it was funny.
Yeah, maybe. I'll fool those guys. I don't like those representatives either. Just because I'm a lieutenant here doesn't mean I have to like them.
That's right. I think that's true. It's absolutely true. So, all right.
Did we? Speaking of Michigan, did we talk about the jogger?
No. Do you want to?
We can do that, and then we'll get back to the cyclists.
Yeah, which is also ridiculous.
I think so too.
Share the road. That's what I'm saying. So, speaking of share the road,
this was in
Brighton, Michigan,
hour away from us.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, a woman goes out jogging
just north of the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Brighton
is, yeah.
Okay. So
20 minutes north or so. You okay?
No.
So, anyways, this girl is jogging, and she's jogging on the side of the road, right? A young girl. I'm sure she was attractive because that's probably why the cops pulled her over. But in Michigan, we do have a law that says if there's a sidewalk provided, you have to use that. And if you have to go on the street, you have to go against traffic. And I don't know if she was going with traffic or not. But still, regardless, they pulled her over and they talked to her.
Yeah, well,
did you have a sign bite or
he
not?
Said, no, I don't. But
yeah.
he held his hand up and said, "Stop!" In the name of the love.
Law.
Oh, and she didn't want to because she's a free person.
Yep,
she thought going about her business.
Every right to jog down.
And
he
said, "Get on the sidewalk," and she didn't.
I don't know if she did that, but I mean that's what we're hearing. We're not sure exactly what happened because the charges that she was arrested for were bogus, I think.
Yeah.
But.
So anyway, they released dash cam video, which is obviously after, it's well into the
encounter.
Encounter, that's the word.
Yeah.
She's screaming, going crazy. Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
She's
Stop!
Swearing a little bit.
I have rights. Yeah. Don't touch me. The swearing. That's what's ridiculous about it is the headlines are like, profanity-laden tirade. Who cares? We've been over this with the idiot in the canoe, right? You can swear. Right. Except not on the radio because the FCC, but everywhere else where you have...
Especially at government employees.
Yeah, that's true. Just like you can take pictures of them.
It's almost required.
Around them. That's why I swear at you so much.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What was I saying?
The woman swearing, and she was
so whatever.
Over.
But you could hear kind of a struggle. He's put your hands behind your back. You're arrested. Or you're under arrest for something.
We couldn't hear it. It
figure
sounded like
I didn't know what
counterfeiting.
Maybe counterfeit.
I don't
know.
think so. But we couldn't. We played it over and over. We couldn't say. But
this goes on for a while. Finally, he gets her in handcuffs. She's screaming, saying, "You're going to pay all that." She's putting him into the car.
We did hear this though, because
she's putting him into the car and said, "Why am I being arrested?" or something like that. And he said, "Because you wouldn't identify yourself."
And in Michigan,
what kind of bull crap is that?
You have no obligation to identify yourself at all.
Any standard police officer worth his weight in salt, is that how the saying goes?
Yeah,
would know. And wouldn't be such a jackass to arrest somebody and tell them they're being arrested for not identifying themselves.
This is a contempt of cop charge.
Absolutely.
Some states you are required to identify. Michigan is not one.
It isn't.
So
horrible.
Horrible. Unfortunately, she got bad advice.
Or no advice. I don't know. She pled guilty. She pled guilty to resisting arrest.
Yeah.
She was charged with resisting arrest and obstructing arrest.
Yeah, the two favorite charges for when I don't have anything.
What was she charged for to justify the arrest?
Yeah, generally there's a couple of charges. There's like murder.
Yeah.
And then resisting arrest when we try to fight and wrestle you to the ground. Here, it was just resisting. You have to have a pre-existing charge.
Which, during the encounter, he said she wouldn't identify herself, which is not...
That's not a legitimate charge.
Not a reason to arrest her. I don't understand how these people keep getting charged with things like resisting arrest and obstructing arrest. Pleading to it, but not having any other charges. She may have, but I can't find it.
This is... You know, she's going to go on a job and they're going to say, "What, you're resisting arrest?"
Yeah, and it sounds pretty bad.
And it's like, "Oh my God, you're an antisocial psychopath. We're not hiring you."
Only somebody who is guilty would resist arrest. I don't know what she was guilty of because there were no other charges from what I could find. Or there may be other charges. I couldn't find them.
I didn't see any. And it said which one. I mean, we're relying on the media, but it said these are what she pled to.
She did plead to resisting arrest.
Now, I remember a story where a guy got arrested for resisting arrest, and he went in and said to the judge, "What was my initial charge?" And the judge says, "Officer?" And they said, "Well, resisting arrest." "Yeah, but what were you arresting him for?" "Resisting arrest." Case dismissed. In this case, she screwed herself, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But regardless, you know, you have arguments. What don't you have, even if you're running and there's an ordinance that says you have to be on the sidewalk, in a free world, you should be able to run wherever you want on public property as long as you're not harming other people.
Who was the victim?
If it's dangerous for her, so what?
Right.
If she wants to take that risk.
And, I mean, as bad as it sounds, if she gets struck by a vehicle and does damage to the vehicle, then hold her or somebody liable for that, right?
Right.
That's how you deal with this sort of thing.
The gun owner or the gun manufacturers, you hold them reliable or responsible.
If someone gets hit by a car, I think so.
Yeah.
And we can jump into that if you want because we have
Ramon,
some audio from Raven Simone.
Oh, Raven,
right?
Simone,
who, by the way,
on the View,
she needs to get off of any sort of TV. Get back on That's So Raven. Yeah, kick it on Nickelodeon or whatever channel she was on.
Maybe
call it good.
Open a book and read one.
Oh, jeez. You know who needs to open a book and read one and actually try to absorb it is Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, Jesus. She's
wow.
She's so dumb.
So the idea here is they're ripping on Bernie Sanders essentially. Well, some of them. One of them makes sense, but because he rightly says, no, you can't hold gun manufacturers accountable for things that people do with their products. Somebody buys a gun and shoots somebody, that's not the manufacturer's fault. Right? And they're saying, well, tell that to because they'd asked Bernie Sanders to apologize to the parents of children at Newtown who were shot. Well, and he said no.
Of course not.
Maybe,
rightly so.
Maybe Hillary Clinton should apologize to all the children that were murdered in Iraq.
Or the guys in Somalia. I mean, not Somalia, but in Benghazi.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
somewhere in Benghazi.
What do you know that I don't know about Somalia?
Who wouldn't you like to know?
So this is a little difficult to hear, but